here with Ready to Roll. So today we're going to run through how to set up your posture. So this is a question I get asked quite a bit. So when we are standing around, when we're sitting, whenever we're doing things, we tend to end up leaning, so straightening out one leg, sitting onto one side, sitting on one hip, leaning on the wall. So all of this is because we're looking for stability. So we end up hanging on a joint capsule looking for stability. This is why people do this. That's why you see them shift from side to side. So what we need to do is use our muscles to create that stability. So when we spend a lot of time sitting down, everything tends to switch off. Okay, so I do this this little routine every day to help undo some of the damage of sitting and undo some of the damage of jiu-jitsu. Okay, so what you're going to need to start. We're going to need a door anchor. I like to have an extra clip on the end. It makes it a little easier to get in and out. And you're going to need 2 of these black bands. Okay, they're not too expensive, and they work really well. Okay, they'll last you a lifetime. So you're going to clip in. So we've got them both in here. Now, when you attach it to the door, you want to make sure you're on the outside of the door. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start at knee height. Okay, so we're going to start from low and work our way up high. So this ends up getting shut on the other side. I like to lock the door, so that way I can get a bit of tension in these without having to worry about falling back. Okay, so I'm going to take one band each side and I'm going to step in. Now, what these are going to do is just go just above my knee. Okay, don't go right behind the back of the knee. There's a bundle of nerves there you want to avoid. I'm going to go just above the knee. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now what the bands are doing are trying to bend my knees by pulling them forward. So what I'm going to do is walk back. Now, the cue for setting up your legs when we're setting up our posture is to lock your legs out, pulling your kneecaps up and press the ground away. Okay, so I'm going to keep my glutes squeezed, hips pressed forward, and I'm just going to stand here for a minute. So a minute doesn't sound too bad, but you'd be surprised. Now, over time, I want to contract more and more of my quads and everything in my legs to switch everything on and activate more muscle. So over time, I should get more and more activation rather than less. Don't squeeze as hard as you can and then switch off and relax. Just keep constant tension. Now, when you first start, you might not be able to make a minute. Just do as long as you can. Now, you're going to feel, or you should feel, the muscle burning right here, right in the vastus medialis. Okay, so to fully lock the legs out, that's one of the main muscles we want to be contracting. Okay, so I'm pressing my hips forward, pressing the ground away, pulling the kneecaps up. It starts to burn. So once you've done about a minute of that, you can hop out. Okay, do a little retest, stand. And you should feel like your legs lock out a little easier, and it feels a little bit more natural to have your legs locked out. Okay, so now we're going to work our way up the body and set the hips next. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to bring it just above hip height. Okay, now this time I'm going to get into the band the opposing direction, and you may want to have a chair in front of you to hold on. Okay, I find that sometimes helps for a little bit extra balance and stability. Okay, so untangle your bands. So we're going to step in. Whoa. Now this is going to come up high around the top of the hip capsule here. Okay, so make sure the junk's out of the way. Ugh. All right, so from here, I'm walking out, so you can grab onto your chair. Now, I want my feet straight on 2 parallel lines. Don't turn your feet out. Feet straight. Now, what I'm going to do, so the band is trying to make me flex at the hip. I want the opposite. So I'm going to extend my hips, squeezing my glutes. Make sure you keep your abs tight and you're not overextending your lower back, keeping your glutes squeezed here. So this is optional. You don't have to have this. I find it does make it a little easier because you can stabilize the upper body, especially if you've had back problems before. Right? The more you walk out with any of these exercises, the worse it's going to get. Okay, so you're going to hang out here for about a minute. Now, we're looking to still press the ground away, pull our kneecaps up. We use the same cues we did previously. But this time, I'm going to squeeze my glutes right in the middle. Right in the middle of the glute, right where the femur comes into the socket. I want you to focus on squeezing, and over time, activating more and more of your glutes. Okay, keeping this nice and tight. I'm gonna work for about a minute, okay? So make sure you're breathing as you do this, all right? Try not to switch off and relax over time. Get more and more tension running through all your legs and your glutes, okay? So once you've done that for about a minute, hop out, have a little shake, have a little reset, okay? When you stand, you should feel like your legs lock out a little easier, your glutes lock out, and your hips lock out a little easier. Now, it's really important that your glutes lock out because it creates a stable platform for your spine. Pardon me. So if you don't lock out your hips correctly, and let's say you're tight in the hip flexors, and let's say your glutes are a bit dormant, they don't really work too well, what ends up happening is I end up overextended in my spine. So having the ability to fully lock out the hip is really important, especially for dealing with back pain. Okay, it's one of the main things that you can do to help alleviate some back pain. Now, next, we're going to set the shoulders up. So I'm going to take this up just above my shoulders. Now, shoulders are a little bit more difficult to set up. Okay, so we need to understand a little bit about how the shoulder works. Now, what I'm looking to do is externally rotate, and imagine I'm tucking. So I've got my scapula here. I want to tuck this border of my scapula towards the opposing hip, and then the same on the other side. So I'm looking to externally rotate and tuck my shoulders back. Okay, so this external rotation sets the shoulder into a good position. Now, we spend a lot of time in this internally rotated position, whether it be on your phone, whether it be driving, whether it be at the desk, working. Okay, too much time here. So what we want to do, strengthen this position here. So to do this, I'm taking my bands, going around the shoulders. Okay, so make sure they're set in place. Now, from here, what I'm going to do is get a little bit of tension. Right now, I'm going to pull my shoulders back. So I'm trying to tuck the scapula back towards the opposing back pocket. Okay, I'm going to turn my palms up, and I'm going to have my hands out like this. Now, what my elbows, so you can see my elbows are in front of my hands. Try not to have your hands in front of your elbows. Elbows in front of your hands, like we're in a front rack position. Okay, and we're walking back. Now, exact same thing from here. I'm keeping my glute squeezed, legs pressed out, and keeping my sternum facing towards the anchor of the door. Okay, the more tension you get out, walk back, the more tension you create, and the worse it gets. So we're going to hold this for a minute. This one's a real burner. Okay, over time, I want you to activate as much musculature on your back as you can. Don't forget to breathe. Keeping those palms faced up. If this position starts to degrade, reset. If you can't reset, it's just too much, stop. You don't necessarily have to go for a minute straight away. Okay, once you've done a minute, okay, little retest, and you should feel like your posture is significantly better. All right, and it should feel natural to stand in this position. Now, the last piece is your head position. Okay, so a lot of it's going to come through on your, a lot of it's actually about your upper back. Okay, when I, oh no, it's all falling apart now. Okay, so this goes just above your head. We make sure the door's locked. Now, head position, a lot of it is about your upper, so your mid back, so your mid traps. So when we spend a lot of time in the text neck position, your upper back's not creating any stability. Okay, so you end up kind of hanging at the end of your head hangs at the end of the lever. So what we need to do is activate these mid traps, and you can see how my posture gets significantly better. So it's right across here. Now, I'm only going to need the single band for this. Now, as you can see, I've set it up a little bit higher than my eye level. Now, what I'm going to do, so you want to be very careful with this one. Don't push it too hard. All right? We're going to be careful when we train our neck. So we're going to bring the band here. Now, when you bring it here, get a little bit of tension in the band. Now, if you don't want your hair to get caught up, what you're going to do is take the band wide, okay, place it here, and then it goes just above your ears, okay? Now, what you're going to do is, so as you can see here, my mid-back contracts, and I draw my chin in, all right? So I'm staring at the anchor point, and keep my abs tight. So I'm performing all those same cues we had previously. So I'm externally rotating at the shoulders, keep my chin drawn in, pressing the ground away, keep my glute squeezed. Okay, so again, working for about a minute. All right, keeping that chin drawn in. Make sure it doesn't start to degrade like this. You want to avoid positions like this, keeping your chin drawn in. Remember, most of this range of motion is actually coming from the thoracic spine. Draw the chin in. You should feel the burn just through your mid-back here. Okay, holding this position for about a minute. Don't forget to breathe. If a minute's too much, then just work up to it. Okay, take it out. Have a little shake, a little reset, and you should be able to feel a big difference here. Okay, so you should feel that you're much more aligned. It should feel a lot more natural to stand in this position. So we want to avoid times when we're hanging on our joint capsules, hanging out like this. Okay, so by doing this every day, you'll find that your posture should improve. If you have any questions, let me know, and thanks for watching, guys.